Hey there, I'm Lance.
I'm Jeremy.
And we are Hard to Master, where we take a look at games that are
hard to master,
such as...
This is Animalcatraz by Geronimo Games. Now this is a mature themed prison brawler game, so we do want to address that in the beginning because the theme is pretty much everywhere in this game, and so there may be some things that if you've got young teenagers or things you might not want them to see. Older, I mean, they're going to see it in different TV shows and stuff, so it's not going to be a secret. But we do want to address that in the beginning. Also, this was not a paid preview for Kickstarter. Basically, Alan asked us if we'd take a look, and in hopes that if it does fun, we will get a copy to keep in the end. And I hope it does fun because I've played this several times in the last week or so, and I actually enjoy it. So we'll get into that in the end, but let me give you just a kind of an idea of what you're doing in this game. I'm gonna move the box. So in Animalcatraz, again, you are going to be in control of an animal convict who will be in a cell. They will have a player board, which is this manila envelope that may be used in the warden's office. I don't know. But you also have a character, and there's several different characters. There's additional ones that we'll talk about in the end that you can possibly get through stretch skulls and things. But for instance, I have Sick Barker here. He, you know, Rocksteady right there.
Bebop Rocksteady.
And he has a special ability. Now this is English and then on the bottom is French because this game is planned to be in English and French, and depending on funding and everything, it may have just English on one, or to save costs it may have English and French on there. But the top two levels tell us this character's special abilities, which are unlocked over here on the right side for the stars here. So the first star on cunning is going to give them an ability, whereas if they boost that cunning up, they're going to get more ability. Now you need cunning because you're trying to persuade guards, and in the end you also want to try and escape. And to escape, you've got to be strong and you got to be persuasive. So these stats let you do that.
I'm going to give you guys a more close-up look here of what a player board or a character card looks like in these stats that Jeremy's talking about.
So you'll notice a squiggly line, that is the character's starting position, and they will have these two trackers, a red for strength and a blue for cunning. Anytime you see red and blue, that's pretty much what it's going to relate to.
Right.
In addition to that, on your player folder here, you're going to have this notoriety track here, and so the reputation track. And there will be a black marker here that's on here. It's clipped on, and it's going to move up and down. And in a basic game, you'll start here at 5. But if you want longer, more advanced games, you can start lower. And there's more that you can add into this game, and it's going to allow you to gain and lose rep much quicker. And so we'll talk about that again in the end. But that's your board setup. Now on your board, you can place 3. I keep grabbing this. You can place 3 different cards here, which are your carry items. There are going to be different contraband or different location items that you can use to do things like attack, upgrade your character, upgrade your cell.
Move
you can
about the board.
Yeah, they just do all kinds of things. They can help you to convince these guards to be corrupt and let you do actions and go different places, all that stuff. In addition, you'll notice these gangster cards here. We're not really going to talk about them too much. They are additional content that you can add into the game, and they can help you fight and do all kinds of things based on what their cards say. So this is your player area. You're going to be managing this while you're moving around the board. And in this game, it's going to go throughout several rounds in a day. And in the first round, you'll notice here, you'll check to see who has the first player marker.
Which, by the way, I got to point this out. This thing is pretty sweet.
And this is prototype, so I'm assuming it's going to be quite a bit better in the final production.
I hope it's exactly like that.
But whoever has the most reputation will be the starting player of that round. And if it's a tie, you're going to have a roll-off using 2 dice, D6. In addition to that, currently you will roll the red die, and that's going to move or adjust the placement of the guards, because the guards block locations as long as they're neutral guards. They're not going to let you do anything on that space. Normally when you move into a location, your character is not blocking one of these spaces where the actions are. Only the guards will actually be on those spaces, and they all start on the C space of the board, of every location. And there's several locations. There's 4 different cornered rooms. There's these
central area.
Yeah, cell block areas for the hallways that they're going to control. And then you have your main area in the center here. So you would roll those dice, move them. In addition, you would gain a cell stash card, which you would put in there, and you have a max of 3, where you can always go into your cell. You can never go in somebody else's cell, but you can go into your cell, and that allows you to trade and swap those out for no action cost. Now, you could steal from other people, but you do that from the cell block. You don't actually go into their cell, and that's an action on the board. So let's go through some of these actions on the board, because you have 5 action points. Now, when you move, every space is going to cost you 1 action point to do that. You can also, or if you look right here at this starting setup here on block C, this action is going to let you steal, is going to let you add cards to the non-player cells, and those will help you to be a cell block king. Now, cell block king would take this icon here, let you put it in there, and it's going to allow you to move into that space for free and do kind of upgraded stuff while costing other people actions. So in the base game, that's how you do this. Now later, gangsters, that's how you get and persuade gangsters, is by that location there. Right here, the B location is going to be different for each cell block. So over here in cell block C, you have crime cards that are kind of side quests that you can do to gain more rep by completing things. Some are very situational and some are just hard to do. Some you just kind of luck into. So it all kind of depends. You may be looking for a certain card. You may be looking for certain contraband to convince this certain guard, things like that. Now the C right here, and in a lot of spots, you have a blue and a red icon, and that is either to attack someone in that space or to steal from them. And if you're attacking or using that red valued icon, that red value, you're going to decide if you want to. Your
strength is on this side.
You're going to decide if you want to use an item card for a weapon, and if you do, you announce that. The person being attacked will also announce it. And then you'll have a roll-off where you will roll 2d6 and add all that up and see who wins. Now, if you meet or exceed that value, then you're going to win, which is going to injure them. It's going to send them to discard their items to the infirmary. They may go back to their cell. They can't be attacked until later. So that's how kind of attacking goes in a nutshell. If you're stealing, again, you're going to look at that cunning value. You're going to roll dice and try to meet or exceed their value so that you can steal. They'll take in it. So if you're stealing from them, you're going to take all their carry items and their upgrade cards. They're going to shuffle them up, hold them up to you, and then you're going to steal one from them. And you could steal some kind of trap or something, especially if you're stealing from their cell. So that's one thing you want to be wary of. So that's how that action is. In addition, over here on these other side Bs, so in cell block B and D, that's where you get escape cards. You're going to take the top one. You can always trade that out if it's not been secured. So if I don't like the one that I have, and maybe I was looking for something else, I could go and swap that out and get a different escape card, and then see if somebody else goes to get that one. And if they do, then I may be able to have an idea of what they're working towards. And you can only do 1 escape action per round, so you do have to plan those out, because going there into B or D and then making sure a guard is not there so that I can take that action to take a card. And on that card, it's going to have a strength value and a cunning value, which you're going to have to meet. You're going to roll for each one, but if you've collected these items and you've used that escape action to the next thing, is instead of taking a card, say I took a card in round 1, round 2, I had found an item that matched this card here.
Such as the watch here. The watch was on that card.
Then I had that in my carry items. I could go to B, I could do an escape action. I would flip this card over now, attaching that watch to it, and it is secured. No one can steal that watch. Now, if I had other items here for that, they could try and steal them if they, get lucky and pull the right one. But as long as it's secured over here, it's not going to be taken. You can only have one escape card at a time that you're working towards. Now, those crime cards I talked about, you can have 2 at a time, and if you gain additional, you can discard them to, get to place the new one that you get. So I could do that action. I could come over here and trade. Now, a lot of times you're going to get contraband items, which aren't great, but you can usually use this trade value here in the corner to trade. Now, trade action costs 1 action point, and I can trade as much as I can afford and want to, and I will trade. I can look through that whole stack. I can find the trade item that I want, and then I can show. You have to show people what you're trading so that they'll know what you have, but they also know that you didn't cheat and steal extra stuff. And then any cards you get rid of, they're going to go over here in the back of the electric chair, because that's where all of your contraband cards are for whenever you do things like work, which is down here with the mop. Takes 2 actions to work. And whenever you do that, that knocked down. So if you want to pull that back up a bit.
Okay.
But the work action will let you take additional cards from the contraband deck. And sometimes if you're cycling through because you've discarded these item cards, you could find better items in there, but normally they're going to have the contraband items. So the trade icon is that one there at A with the card and the recycle symbol. Then you'll have these blue or red symbols like study and play chess. Those increase your cunning 2 spaces, but it does cost you 2 actions. And then the strength, whereas you're working out, or you're eating over here in the mess hall, that's going to cost you 2 actions, but you gain 2 strength. So ultimately, you're doing all these things. The only other one that we have here is the entrance action, and that is the event location. So there are 3 different types of events. There are just general information events. There are events that are going to be optional, where you can go and try to do whatever it says to gain rep or whatever, strength, cunning, whatever. And then there are mandatory ones where you will have to do, otherwise you're going to the hole. And going to the hole is not good, because you go there and you're going to take these minus action tokens, and if you have actions left over, it takes away from you. If not, they go on your character. At the beginning of the next round, you're going to lose actions. So that's basically how your actions are. So for each round, and in the first and third round of each day, you're going to do those event cards. And they will be in effect until the next event card comes. So you have 2 rounds to meet those mandatory or optional requirements. You will do that 4 rounds. After the 4th round, you're going to come over here, and you will, there's some stuff for advanced. So I don't know if you can see that. There's advanced things like you're going to see how many, I'm not even going to go into this because it would just confuse you. But things like gangsters, if you're playing with gangsters and you have a gangster, then you're going to gain rep. If someone called you trash and threw a trash tag at you, which we didn't even go into, but they used the other side of the cell block king token, if you have one of that because you didn't fight somebody, you would lose reps. So as you can see, very thematic and attacking, trying to escape, getting stronger, smarter, all that stuff. Now, the one thing you will do for sure at the end of the round, in a basic game or not, is you're going to be placed back in your cell. It's locked down, so you go back, and then you're going to be able to boost your stats. Now, the only way that you can boost 3 levels of strength is if you're primal. Now, to go primal, you're going to have to play a card, and that card is going to be a primal drug card. And whenever you do that, your cunning is not going to matter, because you see this flips over, and there's no cunning value. So you ignore that, but I would turn this over for my strength value. Now my strength went up a little bit, and if you can see, you gain more actions. So standard, you have 5 actions, But for the next 2 rounds, I'm going to gain additional actions, depending on where the marker is in accordance to those star values. If I'm in the 1 level, I get 1 extra action, 2 and 3, and it's wherever that activated. So if you gain more, you don't get that extra one because it wasn't whenever activated. Now that's great and all, but if you do that at night, that counts as one of your rounds. So you have to be careful and plan when you're going to do this primal, because it only lasts 2 rounds. So if I did it at the 4th round of that day, 4th round, night round, I get my 3 stats, but then I'm back to normal round. I'm back to normal. I'm not primal anymore. So using that is very important because it will help boost your stats for fighting. You do want to go primal a lot of times in fighting because it just makes you quite a bit stronger. That is a general overview of Animalcatraz by Geronimo Games. Not getting too into the weeds because you'll see all these
there's a lot of
envelopes. There's a lot that you can unlock, and we have played with a bunch of it, or we played with several things into one. I will say it does add quite a bit more theme even to an already super themey game, and that's some really cool choices in how to gain rep quicker and more player interaction, because sometimes you can move around the board without just working on your escape plan and stuff, not engaging in fights. Well, you throw in those trash tags, that rule, you're fighting, because if not, you're losing rep. And sometimes it's better to just go fight, deplete someone a little bit, even if you have less rep and you go fight someone and lose, they didn't gain any rep. So you lost your one anyways, but that trash tag's gone, and you maybe made them use their weapon, and they don't have their weapon anymore. So there are ways to really utilize that. You do have this cheat sheet also that will help you find those cards that we were talking about for your escape plan. But yeah, there's a lot of different unlockable content that will be in the Legacy expansion. I don't know how much will be in the main Kickstarter pledge and deluxe pledge and stuff. Stay tuned to Kickstarter to find out the specifics, and everything's still changing because it is prototype. But you can see, I can tell you, I've looked through all the envelopes, and there's a lot of stuff, including new characters, new ways to play the game, new escape tactics. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that are in these boxes.
It's cool.
And there's like 6 to 8 characters in the main game, Bebop and Rocksteady. So,
well, let's talk about our real brief thoughts on this game. And granted, this is just a preview. We've only played it a handful of times, and so, we are getting not a super deep depth in look into this game, but we have played it a lot, and you've played it quite a bit. So, I think this is a game, like you've said several times, Jeremy, it's super thematic. I think that's probably the thing that comes through the most with this game is that every move in this game is dripping with theme. Every component, every mechanic. The game just is very thematic from beginning to end, and it is 100% prison themed.
Yeah, I mean, if you like those movies or shows like Prison Break, Oz, things like that, this is going to come through. If you like themey games like Zombicide and stuff, and you feel like when you make a decision, it makes sense, and you kind of picture that happening from those references, this is going to be one of those Ameritrash games that is going to give you that feel. You're not going to feel like you missed out on theme in this game. Everything from the cards to the actions to the events, to the fighting, to the losing fights, to everything, it plays into the theme very strongly.
Now, I'll throw out there some of the things about the game that I had a few issues with. I do think that the game does have a lot of luck involved in the game. And between the dice rolls and the card pools with this game, there is a luck factor with it. So you got to know that about this game going into it. If you're okay with that being a thing with your gaming, then it won't be an issue for you. But if you are somebody that just absolutely does not like any luck in your board gaming, then this may not be the game for you. But
they don't play board games.
Well, you may not play games.
You gotta have some luck.
But the other thing with the luck factor too is that this can be a punishing game, and so you do have to be aware that with the luck factor being a thing with this game, that you may not have good rolls or you may not get good card pulls, and you may get beat up in this game. And again, it's super thematic, and that's probably how prison is like. I've never been. I don't know for certain. I've talked to people who've been in prison. I imagine it's kind of like that.
This is the yard, not the playground. I mean,
you are going to get beat up in this game, or maybe you're going to be the person doing the beating up. Yeah. But either way, there's going to be some swinginess with that you can lose quite a bit with the fighting and the combat and the dice rolls with this game. So if you're somebody who just is going to get your heart broken over that sort of thing, myself included, it may not be just a game that kind of knocks you away in a good way. But if you're okay with that sort of thing, then maybe this can be a game for you, because it is just 100% dripping with theme, and everything does go along with that theme. And so you can definitely be transported into this universe because of just how ruthless it is. It is very cutthroat, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the die roll is very lucky based on that. Now, there are different ways to mitigate some of that, whereas, like we said, securing those escape cards, getting the contraband, because one action we didn't say, which is an action point, is to try to corrupt the guard and have them kind of work for you. And when you do that, you get to do that action space for free. One time, and it doesn't block it for you, it blocks it for other people. Now, again, though, rolling those dice in battle and stuff can be very, very risky. And trying to escape and not escaping, risky. And especially in our first game, both of us missed it by 1 and 2. And when you do that, currently with the rule set, you go all the way back to your starting values, which for the rest of the game, you're pretty much toast. Done, because a riot's about to happen, and you know you're not winning a fight when everybody else has been maxed out looking for that riot. But again, and you're down here. But you had a chance. Sense with
the theme. I mean, if you get caught trying to escape prison, you're going to go to the hole, and you're done for.
Well, you don't go to the hole for not escaping, but you do get demoralized. You feel like you're in a huge hole. Yeah. So. There are ways to mitigate some of that luck, like looking through the event card to trade for what you want, so you can get the weapon that is most beneficial for you to get bonuses. It's really a lot about timing. It's when do I do this? If there's an event that lets me corrupt the guards for a less value, like 2 less, that's when I want to do that action. If I already got my 2 bases out there and corrupted people, well, unless somebody corrupts them, I can't do that again. So I need to plan that out. When do I complete this crime card? I want to max out my reps. So if I want to turn it in, there's a lot of ways, because the game either ends if somebody escapes in the basic game. Somebody escapes by completing both of those values on their card with successful rolls, or if somebody has initiated a riot and they succeeded by winning that riot, which made them the kingpin. The last way is if you get to the final event, which means you've gone through 2 days and 2.5 days because you got that final 5th event card. A riot's happening, it tells you where to go, tells you what weapons may have a better effect or even work at all. And then in the fight, and then whoever has the most reputation after that would win. Because if you lose in the riot, you lose a rep. If you win the overall riot, you gain 2 reps. So those are the 3 ways that the game ends. So you're really trying to time out when's the best to go primal, when's the best to try to escape, when's the best to attach this card, when's the best to go get strong. I mean, there's so many timing elements. And I love action point systems, and this one does a great job because you're going to get 5. You could use the Binky Boost, get 2 extra. You can play off of these. Or you've got the primal, which gives you more action. So there's different things you're trying to use, managing your strength and your cunning to be able to do it, but it's also about the timing in it.
And again, I think the thing that we keep saying is the theme with this game. The theming of it makes sense with that, because you're either going to be the top dog who's looking to fight and looking to beat everybody up and be the kingpin, or you're looking to be the little guy who's trying to skirt on the outside edge and go under the radar and get all the things you need. need to get out and get out when nobody's looking. And so I like that aspect of this game. I will say, if you do make some poor choices, it can be really hard to get back into the game later on in the later stages of the game. So you do have to be really crafty with how you play this game. And so if you're somebody who likes Ameritrash but yet still very strategic kind of gaming, this may be the game for you, because you really got to be wise with how you play this game, I feel like.
Yeah, you got to skirt around certain places. You've got to go and be careful. You don't want to give your escape plan away. Just like in Prison Break, you see it starts with the brothers, and it gets to like 15 different people.
And there's a people in there you don't want to escape with you.
Exactly, and so it continues. So you've got to hurry and get through those things. Yeah. And I will say, Lance has an issue with the idea that if there's an armor card that should block everything, that's not how it works. In prison, that not just one punch is blocked, the punches keep getting thrown.
I think if you break your hand, you're not fighting anymore.
He's using the other hand. No matter how many times we tell him this, one of the best parts about the theme in this game is he gets so mad trying to figure that out that we crack up laughing and tell him, no, not just one punch gets thrown in prison. You got beat down, and guess what? That one punch that you blocked hurt that person and made them lose actions.
But I think if you've got like a plate of armor under your shirt and you break that dude's hand, you're going to look pretty cool, and somebody's going to stand up for you or something.
This isn't real steel.
They're going to pick you up and put you on their shoulders.
It's an aluminum armor. I mean, that thing crumpled like a can.
I'm just saying.
It's not airplane aluminum. Well, this is soda can aluminum. So, I mean, that's generally the good. And the one thing that I had, and I've talked to Alain Matte quite a lot. I actually did a long Zoom call with him, and I email him a lot all about this game. And so the one thing that hits me the most is this die moving the guards. For me, is I feel like it should be a little bit more of a probability, because we can roll this die and I can have them sit on A over half the game, because especially a whole day in a row, because they won't move because we keep rolling A. I'm okay with them being in and having that randomization, because in a prison they don't want them to find out where people are going to be. That makes sense. It builds to the theme, but the convicts are watching, and I feel like they should be able to know, there's 3 A's in here, there's 3 B's in here, there's 3 C's in here, there's 3 move A's in here, there's 3 cards. But you have a certain probability of all of these types, and you mix in a certain number for every round per how many events you're going to play. So you still have that randomness, but you know once you've seen so many that they're not going to go there. And I think that would play into the theme, and it would also, with that probability, it's very unlikely that you're going to get 4A in the same spots and not move. Because if 4B's going in the same spot, nobody's ever going to be able to do enough escape actions to get out, or nobody's going to be able to do a lot of the game. And so I feel like that's the one thing that I would change, and I have told him. Now, the cool thing about Alan is he's like, I got a lot of previews where everybody's telling me everything's great in this game, and I want you and Lance to bring up these little things that you see in the game that might not be the best in the game. And so I've told you a whole bunch about how I love the theme. I love the game. I actually played it 3 times in a week. I looked at all the stuff in the envelopes. I've taught it to not just Lance. I've played the team mode with Lance. I've taught this to 3 different groups, essentially. And a lot of people are asking me when they can get on Kickstarter and buy it. Some people are like, oh, it's fun, but we did play too long in our first game because we had too many events, which was my fault because I switched game modes after setting it up. So, but he did say, he said, tell everybody the good and the bad. And so that's what we're doing for you. This is a preview, but we have played quite a bit of this prototype, so it's still a preview. But it does include those things that might not be the easiest. And again, this is not a game that you're going to play with your family usually. Some families maybe, but most families aren't going to play this game. This is going to be for a family weight. Yeah, this is going to be for adults or upper teens, and you're gonna see crude humor and stuff, but that's expected when you will definitely see some adult themed stuff. But I'll say it's not it's not even close to being like Cards Against Humanity.
Or it's not like
it's not like it's cussing you out
like
everywhere.
Oz, the show, you know, it's not like it's going to be that.
It's
graphic,
more like Prison Break.
Yeah,
It's like mainstream Prison Break.
Cable
you know,
TV, not
TV 14 or TV. You know, it's not like late night HBO or anything.
Exactly. So. But there you have it. That's our beginning and end thoughts here on I can't ever say the name right. Why don't you say the name?
I say Animalcatraz, but it's Animal Alcatraz. Animalcatraz flows better.
Apologies for that. But that's our thoughts on this particular game, and it is coming to Kickstarter.
Yeah, I think the plan right now is they did have to bump it back a little bit, so I think the plan is still September, so be on the lookout.
There you go.
We'll try to throw the link into the feed. Do have Primal Standees too, and then the plan is miniatures, so don't hold me to that, but they do have standard miniatures and working on maybe a more aggressive Primal miniature bust for some of them.
Yeah.
So do want to say that the deluxe should have this legacy content where you're unlocking stuff. And again, some of this stuff may just be stretch goal unlockable stuff that's in the base game also. We don't know the full ins and outs of the campaign, but like I said, we'll post a link in the comments.
Yeah. So leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this particular game, because it is very thematic and there's a lot of opinions on it, and there is good and not so good with it. And so we want to know what you think about it as well. If you've had a chance to maybe check it out at a convention, or maybe you've just seen it around on the different videos, let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you think about it. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to let us know that you enjoy everything, and so that you'll know when we come out with our next video. I'm Lance.
I'm Jeremy.
And we are Hard to Master, where we take a look at games that are hard to master. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.